Chapter 6. Lessons in Leadership, Abraham Lincoln. Talking about leadership without mentioning Abraham Lincoln's commendable leadership would be an incomplete conversation. Amongst the finest, if not the top leaders, is Abraham Lincoln, a man with such strong values, morals, and determination that deterred even enemies from giving in. His leadership is the best example of what a leader should look like and how a leader is built, not born. I think it is essential to highlight Lincoln's roots and background. Unlike what we usually assume, leaders are lucky because they have better resources and exposure. It would be a shame if, even in those circumstances, they did not outshine. Contrary to belief, Abraham Lincoln best exemplifies a leader's inquisitive and striving nature. Far from being an aristocrat, Abraham did not even receive formal education. And to say he became one of the most respectable leaders even after decades proves his revolutionary ideas and vision to bring change. Born in Kentucky to parents of undistinguished families, Abraham led his whole life living hand to mouth. Abraham lost his mother in the 10th year if it wasn't hard enough with all the constant shifting and wilderness as their civilization. In the ripe years of adulthood, his early 20s, and most people accomplish their dreams, Abraham worked hard splitting rails for fences, farming, and keeping stores in low-lying towns. But Abraham's passion and ambition remain unmatched. He did what even the most educated failed to do. Teaching himself how to read, write and learn, Abraham became well aware of the law, a field that is not only intricate but also controversial. He rose from nothing not for fame or success but for what he believed in and to leave a mark. I want to highlight that Abraham didn't just wake up with the mission of abolishing slavery, nor did he go big overnight. He started small, maybe even insignificant and unknown for a long time. It's about the growth that Abraham favored and worked his way through perseverance and farsightedness. He entered as a Black Hawk War captain, where he showed immense dedication and craftiness. He spent 8 years in the Illinois legislature and relentlessly rode the circuit of courts for many years despite no considerable success and many failures. A law partner once described Abraham, his ambition was a little engine that knew no rest. One of the most prominent traits that Abraham repeatedly exhibited was his will to learn from failures. On many occasions, Lincoln never took failures as dead ends but as an opportunity to improvise and change course. One such event was his loss against A. Douglas for senator in 1858. Even though he failed the election, he found more time on his hands to enhance his reputation and win the Republican nomination for president in 1860 with a glorious record. Moreover, Abraham's wise decision-making is a notable trait that helped him build a community and following that were not only like-minded as him but also loyal and thorough. Abraham was a person who knew how to funnel his sentiments and control them to get through to his audience in the most effective way. Recklessness and rigidity were not qualities of Abraham. Despite strong opposition and pressure to bring about change, Abraham knew tactful planning and approaches were essential to ensure victory. He best portrayed this as a president when he realized the true potential of his people. Despite the popular demand and permanence of George B. McClellan, Lincoln replaced him and appointed Ulysses Grant as general. Lincoln saw Ulysses Grant as a fearless leader, one who would take calculated risks, execute the mission, hold others accountable, and the ability to lead from the front. He was willing to put himself in harm's way first, and the men respected him. Grant also aligned with Lincoln's vision to keep the nation as one and to free enslaved black people from bondage. He saw these two items as necessary to lead the country forward and as issues that required great sacrifice from the soldiers. Lincoln's smart decisions and choice of loyal people surrounding him enabled him to come off as a more decisive leader. Even during the onset of the Civil War, it was on Abraham to decide which side to take and what actions were necessary to safeguard the Union and the Constitution. Had he not possessed this quality, he would not have been able to slowly push his way through the layers of politics and aristocracy and get his bills approved. He clearly warned the South in his inaugural address, "In your hands, my dissatisfied fellow countrymen, and not in mine, is the momentous issue of civil war. The government will not assail you. You have no oath registered in heaven to destroy the government, while I shall have the most solemn one to preserve, protect and defend it." This flows into his decision to form his cabinet after the Civil War to reform the constitutional landscape of America. Typically, a president would include officials and people that are allies and will agree with them on every point. However, this is a quality of Abraham that was never found again. His cabinet included people that were far from allies. He welcomed people from all walks of life and backgrounds to get opinions, ideas, and feedback from a holistic point of view so that he could deeply understand the state of the country. His ability to be challenged was something that very few leaders have. He didn't take the challenge as defiance but as another aspect to consider and resolve so that he could be better at what he did and work seamlessly. One such cabinet member was Frederick Douglass, a harsh critic, and the first African American in a presidential cabinet. he made him all the more capable of being Abraham's chief supervisor. Nevertheless, Abraham was also inept with powerful leadership qualities to diffuse internal conflicts. Despite the varying point of view, he could cultivate a similar value system to align common goals and vision. This was important to ensure that all efforts were towards the primary purpose so that the additive and collective actions would result in a more profound and multifaceted solution. Abraham's way of working wasn't a dictatorship. Despite his strong beliefs, he displayed flexibility that revolved around a core value and aim. With malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right, as God gives us to see the right, let us strive on to finish the work we are in, to bind up the nation's wounds. This is rooted in his understanding of clear goals and steadfastness, making him a strong leader and visionary who never lost sight of his aim. It was precisely this quality that kept him rooted in himself and helped him bring consistency, reliability, and continuity to all his actions and reforms. Lincoln never let the world forget that the Civil War involved an even larger issue. This he stated most movingly in dedicating the military cemetery at Gettysburg, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Abraham could maintain the sanctity and individuality of each individual while also learning to align and push people to see a common goal. People gained autonomy, which also helped them pave a path for a better future. Indeed, a true leader is not one who only shows the way but has walked that path and will walk with you again if necessary.